In true Bruce Lee fashion, he decided to raise the bar by completing the test with one hand while using only two fingers, his thumb and index finger.
What the fuck?
And even at that, he was able to nail up to 200 push-ups. Bruce was able to take things up yet another notch when he offered to complete a different challenge by doing push-ups with only two thumbs.
Hey man, what's good with y'all boys? Your boy JJ Reacts, man. Hey, back to another reaction video. This time we got evidence that Bruce Lee was superhuman. Hey man, we finna get right to this video. Let's get it.
I mean, it might sound too philosophical, but it's unacting acting or acting unacting. If
You've lost me.
I have.
Bruce Lee was a legend in every sense of the word. This martial artist touched the hearts and minds of many around the world, either through his outlandish fight scenes or the serenity of his philosophical musings. By the time that Bruce died in 1973, he had already built a time-defying legacy despite being just 32 years old. Many of us weren't even alive back then, but we sure do remember the famous martial artist and movie star. Although Bruce had many talents and skills, his martial art chops were definitely his top selling point. This man was so awesome, in fact, that many believe that he could have been superhuman. And in this video, we'll explore some evidence that lends credibility to those claims. Join us as we have a look at 10 pieces of evidence that prove that Bruce Lee was superhuman. Number 10, the Dragon Flag. Bruce Lee's ascent to the top of the martial arts field was definitely not by accident. He knew from a young age that he was destined to be a great fighter, and he quite literally spent every waking moment of his life honing his skills so that he could be the best that he could be. Now, if you have any experience with fighting, you know that you have to be in peak physical condition. Otherwise, there's a good chance that you'll be getting knocked on your keister when you take the stage. Bruce, however, was so dedicated to his fighting art that it pretty much bordered on obsessive. According to Bruce's wife, he would spend pretty much every waking moment and free time that he had training. That's how disciplined and focused that he was. Bruce was especially focused on his core, the part of the body that includes the torso and stomach. He believed that this part of the body was involved in basically every form of movement and fighting technique, so he spent even more time developing that. But being the man who was destined for such great things, Bruce was not about to do the regular training drills. Instead, he invented his own workout regimen called Dragon Flag. In Dragon Flag, Bruce would lay flat on a bench and then would lift up his entire body from the bench with nothing but his shoulders touching the surface. From there, he'd hold that position for minutes, raising and lowering his entire body at will, which is probably something I'm going to skip the next time that I hit the gym. Today, Dragon Flag is a staple of many martial arts training programs and exercise sessions, although I don't really think that there's anyone who could do it as impressively as Bruce Lee. Number 9. Bruce caught rice grains with chopsticks. While physical fitness is undoubtedly a great way for any fighter to train, it's also important that they work on several of their instincts, and amongst those instincts, hardly does any matter more than the reflexes. The ability to think fast and react to changes around you is going to help anyone, especially a fighter who's in a bit of a tight spot while in combat. Bruce knew this well, and being the obsessed and focused fighter he was, he worked tirelessly to hone his reflexes so that they could help him while fighting. But while most people would use regular methods to train their reflexes, I think that we all know that Bruce was not one for the regular stuff. According to legend, he would actually throw grains of rice into the air and then literally catch them in midair with nothing but chopsticks.
My nigga, what? That is fucking crazy.
Now, if you've seen the 1984 classic Karate Kid, you'll probably remember the point where Mr. Miyagi trains Daniel to catch a fly with a pair of chopsticks, and I'm pretty sure the movie got its inspiration from the legendary Bruce Lee himself. It was reported that Bruce was a master of this drill and would catch the rice almost every time that he threw it into the air.
Every time?
But there's no video evidence of that, but considering how dedicated he was, I wouldn't doubt that it actually happened one little bit. Number 8. Bruce was unusually strong. Whenever you think of the word superhuman, it's easy to see why one of the first things that comes to your mind is strength. After all, superheroes can pull off amazing feats of strength like they're nothing at all. But if Bruce should be described as being superhuman, it's kind of logical that he'd be much stronger than any average person. And in many ways he was. And merely looking at Bruce, you may easily doubt the fact that he could have superhuman strength. After all, he wasn't necessarily the most muscular or even toned person out there.
Bro.
And with his relatively small stature, it's pretty tempting to overlook his strength. But you'd be wrong. By simply looking at some of his training videos, you could get the sense that Bruce was incredibly strong. Just take a look at him working with punching bags. Most people who use large punching bags to practice their kicks and punches would do so in a slow and controlled manner, even those with abs and 200 packs. Bruce, on the other hand, pretty much tore through these bags like they were Swiss cheese. Bruce reportedly even had challenges using regular punching bags because he'd simply punch through them and tear them down. So per usual, he needed to get a new challenge. Now, keep in mind that regular punching bags weigh about 50 kilograms, but the bags that Bruce would use weighed north of 135 kilograms.
I'm done. I'm fucking done, bro. Bro. That shit is crazy, bro. What? This nigga's not human. Bro, he's not human, bro.
Which is almost 3 times the weight of a regular punching bag.
Yeah, bro.
And I'm pretty sure that Bruce grew to rip through those bad boys and tear them to shreds as well. So it is safe to say, this isn't a man that you'd like to get a punch or kick from on your lovely body. Number 7, an irregular approach to exercising. Everyone exercises, some of us do more so than others, but that's a discussion for a different day. Amongst the many exercise routines that are available, push-ups and pull-ups are one of the most popular. Today, you don't even have to be a fighter to learn how to do a push-up or pull-up. After all, both exercises offer the best of both worlds. You don't need any special gear for them, and they're difficult enough to help you work up a sweat and supercharge your body. Thanks to their complexity, we all have a threshold of push-ups and pull-ups that we can all perform. Some of us can go up to 50 push-ups at a go, while few of us can only manage about 10. Yes, I know myself, there's no shame in it. Here's the thing though, Bruce was on an entirely different level. If you have a specific number of push-ups that you're comfortable doing, I guarantee you that Bruce Lee could do double without even breaking a sweat. And if you're still doubting, well, consider this. At some point, Bruce was actually tested to see how many push-ups that he could do, and in true Bruce Lee fashion, he decided to raise the bar by completing the test with one hand while using only 2 fingers, his thumb and index finger.
What the fuck?
And even at that, he was able to nail up to 200 push-ups. Bruce was able to take things up yet another notch when he offered to complete a different challenge by doing push-ups with only 2 thumbs. And in this position, he still managed to do over 100 of them. And now for the grand finale. If you were to grade Bruce based on the regular 2-handed push-ups that we all struggle to accomplish, he was reportedly able to do over 1,500 of them in a row without stopping. The man was a beast on the...
I paused this shit way too much already in the video. I'm sorry, y'all. But what the fuck, bro? How? You right, this nigga not fucking human? What the hell? That's not no human shit.
Boards, and somehow
Bro.
you definitely wouldn't want to get into a competition with that at the gym. Number 6, Bruce was too fast to be filmed. Bruce Lee began his early life as a martial artist, and like many of the time, he had spent a great deal of his life honing his skills. So by the time that Hollywood came calling, he had essentially already become one of the most renowned martial artists in the world. But here's the thing though, Bruce almost didn't even make it into the movie business. At the time, movie-making technology was just getting to the peak of its prowess, and there was still a lot of work that needed to be done. Bruce was so fast that directors literally had issues filming him. In 1966, Bruce got one of his biggest breaks on screen with The Green Hornet, a superhero television series that lasted just 1 season, but Bruce was undoubtedly the breakout star. However, shooting the series was very challenging because the cameras of the time just couldn't capture his moves in real time. Unlike today, when we have cameras that can shoot up to 240 frames per second, most movie cameras in the 60s and 70s struggled even to shoot at 24 frames per second. This would mean that many of Bruce's fight scenes just couldn't show up correctly on camera. Bruce could throw up to 9 punches and 6 kicks respectively in a single second, and that's surely nothing that could record that much. Producers of The Green Hornet would claim that many of the recordings that they had showed Bruce seemingly standing motionless while all of his enemies fell to the ground. But in reality, the man was just too fast to be captured. Eventually, filmmakers had to ask him to take things down a couple of notches just so that they could follow his actions. Number 5. The 1-inch punch. The field of martial arts is full of a lot of flashy feats. You can see artists breaking concrete slabs like they were made of plastic, or jumping high in the air like they had suspenders attached to their waists. However, I would argue that no martial arts feat is as famous as Bruce Lee's 1-inch punch. As the name would suggest, the 1-inch punch
Y'all imagine getting hit by this nigga 1-inch punch, bro. You're cooked. You're done, bro. You're done.
would have Bruce punch a target from just an inch away and pretty much send them flying. The punch has become something of a pop culture legend, even being featured in the classic cult film Kill Bill. Despite standing just an inch away from his target, Bruce's punch could send them flying as far back as 5 meters. Still, the punch was strong enough to essentially incapacitate the victim once it had landed. According to one researcher at Stanford University, Bruce's fists travel a small distance in mere milliseconds in order to deliver the 1-inch punch. However, the jab actually draws power from Bruce's legs. To land the punch, Bruce straightens his legs with a quick and explosive knee extension, and this sudden jerk of his legs increases the speed of his hips, which in turn moves his shoulder forward and allows him to thrust his arm. Bruce's elbow is then extended very quickly as well, driving his fist forward, and finally he flicks his wrist just before impact, further increasing the velocity of the punch. By the time that Bruce lands his 1-inch punch, he's combined the strength of some of the biggest muscles of his body. It's been estimated that the force of the punch is almost equivalent to that of a car crash at about 50 kilometers per hour. And so, it's no wonder that the punch sends his opponents flying in an instant and incapacitates them for minutes. Number 4. Bruce's kicks sent people literally flying. As the determined martial artist that he was, Bruce was also adept at using pretty much anything that he had when the time came to throw down. And although most of the devastation that he would cause was with his hands, Bruce was not exactly a lightweight when it came to using his feet either. According to many sources, one of Bruce's most treasured possessions was his training shield. He would use it to practice his kicks and pretty much took the shield everywhere he went. As the reports would have it, Bruce would invite people to wear the training shield and then he would kick them. The amount of power that he put into the shields varied, but it was noted that Bruce could easily kick people so hard that they went straight up flying into the air. Number 3. The lightning fast magic trick. Everyone loves a little bit of magic. It stretches the mind and makes us all want to believe in the truly unbelievable. Never one to shy away from an opportunity to amaze, Bruce also dabbled in some magic back in the day. Only that this trick would once again prove just how superhuman that he was. We all know the classic trick where a magician pulls a coin from the back of your hair, but Bruce would take that trick and tweak it just a little bit. In his own version, he'd place a coin in the palm of your hand and then ask you to stretch your hand out with the coin in it. The moment that you notice any slight movement in Bruce's body, your task would be to close your hand quickly so that he didn't take the coin. It might seem simple, but here's the thing. Bruce was so quick that no one was able to stop him from taking the coin from their hand. It's just another testament to how quick the man was. For an added layer of difficulty, he then decided to switch things up, and instead of only trying to take the coin, he would replace the coin that he took with a completely different one, all before you'd even be able to close your hand. Just imagine if Bruce Lee had chosen to be a pickpocket instead of a martial artist. He probably would have made a killing. Number 2. He was unpunchable. Bruce Lee's chops as a martial artist became obvious pretty quickly, but for some reason, quite a lot of people still needed to be convinced. Even though he had become a world-renowned name by the 1960s, Bruce would always be challenged to street fights. Many people in that time just needed some convincing, or perhaps they just loved being hit. Who really knows? While Bruce mostly shrugged off the challenges, there were certain times when he had to actually show exactly how good that he was, and wow, were people convinced. While on the set of Enter the Dragon, Bruce was challenged to a fight, and he obliged. And when he went on to take his opponent apart, dodging every single blow that was thrown at him, he eventually locked his opponent in a submission against a wall. Then, when he was finished, the always magnanimous Bruce Lee still gave a lesson in combat. Kicking someone's butt and teaching them how you did it? Well, that's a swell guy indeed. Number 1. He dislocated someone's shoulder with a slap. So at this point, we've pretty much covered Bruce's insane feats of strength and the fact that his slender frame did not do him any justice. But just in case you still doubt how strong that he was, maybe this will do it for you. Despite the fact that he was obviously stronger than everyone else and needed to get special equipment just to train, there were still times when Bruce had to spar with actual people. I'm not sure why anyone in their right mind would see Bruce Lee and say, hey, that's the guy I want to spar with, but I guess that some people really believed in themselves in the 1960s. Anyways, it's been reported that Bruce Lee once dislocated someone's arm in training. Now keep in mind that the victim couldn't just have been anybody. He must have been a highly trained martial artist himself who probably thought that he had the stones to go one-on-one with the Great One. But still though, Bruce Lee dislocated his entire shoulder. As the reports would go, Bruce was quite confused when he was confronted after the altercation. According to him, he didn't even hit the guy very hard. And what many thought to be a punch was in fact more of a light slap. Once again, I don't know how hard it is to learn, but don't go within hitting distance of Bruce Lee. Considering the many feats that he managed to pull off in his lifetime, it's easy to see why many would remember Bruce Lee as the greatest martial artist who ever lived. But perhaps the reason why he became so good at combat was the fact that he was just not a normal human being. I'm really not sure why many people decided to still get within striking distance of him, but at least they were the living proof that we all need that he was a demigod that walked among us.
Wow. Hey, man, that's it for our reaction, man. Hey, let me know in the comments what y'all think about this, man. Hey, Bruce Lee is a, like he said, he's a fucking demigod, bro. And he's not human, bro. Like, the shit he was doing, bro, like that push-up with the 2 fingers, bro. And it said 200 plus, and it 1,500. Like, what? That's fucking crazy. Anyways, man, like, comment, subscribe, man. Like I said, man, let me know what else y'all want me to react to. Hey, man, and I got y'all. Peace.